Hello, I am Rai, and I'm still bad at video games. It's been a couple weeks now since surgery. I'm doing a lot better, um, but still not great. I've got some kind of respiratory problem that's probably going to keep me from recording an actual Let's Play, but I wanted to record something because I miss it, and I miss you guys. So, I think I've finally finalized my mod list that I'm going to use for this upcoming Let's Play, so I'm just going to do a rundown of those real quick, so you guys kind of know what to look forward to. There's a lot of them, as usual. I tried to parse them down, but I just want so many of them. So, to start off, we have Runtime GC. It mostly just lets you clean up some things in the game that aren't necessary. Like people out in the world who have died who have nothing to do with you or your colony. You can just clean them out of the game. They're not there taking up space anymore. Old battle logs from ages ago that don't matter anymore. Family trees of like farm animals that have been slaughtered. You don't need those anymore. Stuff like that. It just helps your game run smoother over time so it doesn't get bogged down. Hugslib and Jex tools are just things to make the mods work and to make them work together so they don't fall over each other. Grim Reality kind of changes people's priorities a bit. So things like eating without a table will make you less unhappy, but your spouse getting killed will make you more unhappy. It just kind of, like I said, changes people's priorities on what is and is not upsetting to them, and just makes it more realistic. Rim's story, I've not actually tested this one, but it's supposed to it creates like anniversaries and celebrations or memorials for events that happen in the game, so that it seems like so it seems like your colonists actually remember the things that happened to them. We have this mod that allows the creation of non-human playable races. And then all of these mods here have to do with reproduction. Creation of... I need to move that. The creation of, like, genitals on both people and animals, so you can, like, neuter your animals, or your people, I guess. And reproduction, you can have children, you can create schools for them before they're old enough to work so that they can learn things and become useful adults. We have our big mod here, Lord of the Rims Unlimited. I was going to do the Third Age, but it cut off a lot of things I really wanted, so I did Unlimited, which doesn't limit any content in the game, so we're gonna end up with this picture, basically. Gundalf. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Doors expanded. It gives you more types of doors. It creates wider versions of vanilla doors, so you can have like double doors, triple doors. Well, triple space doors. It's still one door. And it's needed for Lord of the Rims because some of the special doors in there require it. Medieval Times, I've used this one before. It creates a bunch of medieval tech, so there's more between tribal and like modern technology. And it's got some useful things in it that might go well with these mods. We have the races. Elves, dwarves, and hobbits. And hobbits are what we're going to be playing with. Because I am a hobbit. I am short and pudgy, and I like food, and I like gardening, and I just like a quaint and quiet lifestyle. So that's what we're gonna be. I also have fantasy goblins just because I felt like, we've got humans, elves, dwarves, and hobbits. We need an antagonist. There are evil dwarves. There's like dwarf bandits or something, but we needed, one of the evil races. I didn't like any of the orc mods that I saw, so I just threw some goblins in here, and they're going to be a lot of trouble, based on my experience so far. Yeah, show hair with hats and hide hats is just, as it says, when you're wearing a hat, your pod's hair will still be visible, so it lets them have some individuality even when they have hats and helmets on. I have the Giddy Up set, which lets you ride certain animals, and you can have them in caravans to make you go faster. You can ride them into combat. You can just ride them around to work. It's nice. Run and gun, very useful. Just allows you to shoot while you're moving. Of course, your enemies can too, so you have to watch out for that. You can adjust the accuracy, so you can make it so it's not too accurate when they're running, so it's not too powerful. Simple sidearms, can't live without it. Just makes it so you can have a gun and then a backup knife, or a bow and a backup knife, as the case may be, because there's no reason why you can't carry both. A dog set, animal prosthetics, like it says, it creates prosthetics for animals, so if your animal gets its leg shot off, you can get it a new one and it can still walk. It doesn't become useless. Well, they're not useless until they have like no legs really, but they won't be so slow. Animals tab just adds extra functionality to the animals tab. Just lets you do more with it. Animals logic does all sorts of things. Egg-laying animals will try to lay their eggs in beds. You can assign certain animals to certain beds. You can create animal medical beds. It's really good for that. Wild animal sex lets wild animals reproduce naturally, like your other animals. So you'll have little babies running around everywhere, and it creates more things for you to hunt. Vanilla Animals Expanded just adds a bunch of new kind of farm animals. These are like yaks and bison over here. Goats, donkeys, guinea pigs for some reason. Animal coat varieties, it just makes it so the vanilla animals come in more colors, so they don't all look the same. Let's have a cat, and Spider Camp's dog pack just adds more breeds of cats and dogs, so you can have like your favorite breeds. And a patch for a dog set for the cats. I think the dogs come compatible with the dog set, but the cats needed a patch. Cats are clever too, which is for vanilla cats and I guess cougars. So you can train them for stuff, because cats are clever too. Foxes aren't suicidal, just makes it so foxes stop trying to hunt things that are bigger than them, like people. Taming Fixer makes it so animals won't forget their training over time, so you don't have to keep wasting all your food to keep them trained. Because it can be a big food suck over time when you get a bunch of animals. Straw beds are nice. It's just another type of animal bed you can make, and it looks nice and makes barns look nicer and more like barns. And also you can make improved beds with herbal medicine worked into them, which makes them sleep better and heal faster. A Rim World of Magic, we've had this one before as well. It adds all sorts of spellcasters into the game, and it's just a trait people can be born with. And I was thinking anyone could learn magic with certain items, but I think you have to be magically adept to learn magic if you're not already a spellcaster. But regardless, it adds all sorts of magic. Not even just magic, there's also certain types of fighters, gladiators, and such. It adds a whole bunch of cool stuff, which could be a little OP, but as much as I suck at the game, it's not that OP. Hospitality allows you to make guest rooms, and people will come and visit your colony and stay in the guest rooms, and they might bring things to trade, they might leave you gifts. And, you know, since we're going to be hobbits, we're very proud of our hospitality, so it's a must-have. Musical instruments just adds the ability to create instruments for your pawns to play, to build their artistic skill and to entertain themselves and others. Tilled soil, it's probably OP, but fuck it, I like it. I'm keeping it. It looks like real farmland, and it makes it really fertile, and it's just nice. I have pretty much almost the entirety of the vegetable garden mods, except canning, I think, is the only one I don't have. But it adds a whole bunch of new things to grow, new foods to make, new medicines. You can grow resources like silver, steel, gold, emerald, plasteel. It's higher level stuff, and you have to process it, but it's very good. Harvest Sync just makes it so your pawns won't harvest things until the field is entirely fully grown. You can turn it on and off, though, for each field. Harvest Designators, it just makes it so you can choose to only harvest all of the fully grown plants or trees, rather than just any that has things to harvest. Fishing, like it says, you can fish in the river for fish, and you can set traps for shellfish. Nature is Beautiful just changes it mostly so that natural things are neutral rather than ugly, so your pawns aren't going to be in a shitty mood from being outside. Smoked Meat allows you to smoke meat. And it'll last, I think, roughly a year, maybe? Or definitely longer than unsmoked meat. It lets your meat last longer, and you can still use it for cooking like you would raw meat. Medical tab, it just, like the animal tab, it adds more functionality to the medical tab. It lets you see more things and do more things. Less arbitrary surgery. You don't accidentally stab the guy you're trying to install a peg leg onto in the chest with the peg leg or something. It makes it so you fail less, and even if you do fail, it gives your pawn a chance to try to save the person they were performing surgery on, so that they'll just be injured and not dead. Doesn't work 100% of the time, but there's a lot less death by surgery. Death rattles makes it so even if you get shot like in the heart, it gives you an hour or two in game to try to save that person. Like if you have a spare heart, you can rush them to your hospital and try to give them a new heart before they die. It's not super realistic in the time frame, but that's just kind of due to how the game time works. And Comatose makes it so even if they don't die, they might fall into a coma. Expanded prosthetics and organ engineering just means you can make more prosthetic limbs, more replacement organs. Harvest organs post-mortem. Like it says, if someone dies, you have a period of time in which you can try to harvest their organs to put in other people. Pharmacist makes it so your pawns aren't going to use the best medicine on everything. Like, oh no, you bruised your pinky toe. Better grab that glitter world medicine. You know, they kind of prioritize what kind of injuries need what kind of medicine. Psychology changes the way pawns kind of think, feel, and interact. It's responsible for things like mayors. When people have elections for mayors, that's where this comes from. And to go with it, I have Orion's Therapy, where you can make a therapist couch and your pawns can talk to each other about their problems and try to feel better about them. Color-coded mood bars. Very useful, just makes it easier to keep track of how all of your pawns are feeling. Fuck Friendly Fire. This is another one where you can change the settings for how useful it is, what percentage it works at. So I set this just so that they're less likely to shoot their friends in the back when they're fighting. It does still happen, as I'm sure those of you who have watched my other series have seen. They will still shoot each other. It's just not constantly all the time shooting each other in the back. So if you have a brawler, you can still send them out there to fight, and they're not going to immediately be gunned down by their friends. Increased stack size does what I just said. Haul to stack. Please haul perishables. Replace stuff while you're up. Share the load. These are all mods that change how hauling works. So they'll always try to haul to an existing stack. Multiple pawns here can haul to the same project. If someone's going from point A to point B and there's something to haul on the way, they will pick it up and take it with them. This one allows it so you don't have to deconstruct something and then build a new one. You can basically just build over the old one. So it just kind of takes a step out of there. Firekeeper is a new one I just recently found. And it's so you can designate someone to specifically refuel things like fires, stoves, passive coolers, etc. So that sounded really useful, so I'm looking forward to having that. Path Avoid. You can set paths that your pawns will prefer and paths that they will try to avoid at all costs, and in between. That way, if you want to build like a death maze for people to use to get into your colony, you can set it so that your pawns will try to not go that way. Or if you are like me and set up roads outside between buildings, you can have them prefer to walk on the roads rather than going across the dirt. Rain washes away filth. Like it says, when it rains, it'll wash away blood and dirt and junk just all over the map. So your map doesn't just become a filthy, horrible, laggy mess from animals shitting and killing each other. Dead Man's Clothing. People aren't going to care that someone died in the clothing. They're stranded on a weird planet. Well, not necessarily with Lord of the Rims, but you know, they're fighting for survival. They don't care that someone died in those clothes. They're clothes. They're good. More furniture. Like I said, it just adds more furniture into the game. I'm not sure how much we'll use it. I have at least one thing in mind that I want to use. Mass graves makes it so you can dig a big hole and just throw bodies into it. Great for getting rid of raiders. Realistic rooms makes it so they won't feel cramped as easily. You can make smaller, more realistically sized rooms. Like, I was watching, I think, Ryan Rambles, a new RimWorld Let's Player, playing the other day, and he was making like 5x5 bedrooms for like single colonists, which just because I use this mod all the time just sounded huge to me. Like, why do you need that much space to sleep? So I've got realistic rooms for that. You have the allow tool, which just I think you can set things to be urgently hauled, which means they will go out of their way to haul it before other things. You can allow all objects on the map, which is great when you first land or after a battle. And some other allowing and disallowing capabilities. Interaction bubbles. These things are recorded in a log, but you have to like go to that log and see what was said, and this just makes it so you can see it as it's being said. Skilled stone cutting, pretty simple. It just makes it so stone cutting will increase your crafting skill, and skilled crafters will cut stone faster. Colony Manager is pretty useful. You can set up things like wood cutting and foraging for food and medicine in the wild. You can set up a specific range for that or an area for it, and they will do it automatically. So I can say harvest all wild foods within this area, and anytime something in that area becomes mature, someone will go harvest it. Same with cutting wood from trees. So it's just one less thing for you to do, something to let them manage it by themselves. Forbiddable refuelables. You know, it's the middle of winter, you don't really need your passive coolers to be refueled. But it would be a pain to have to break down or uninstall them, so you can just forbid them until summertime. Work tab just changes how you designate work priorities. Pawns are capable, makes it so instead of being completely unable to do something, they just really don't like to do it, and they'll have a negative mood because of it. And it's a pretty significant negative mood, and it lasts for a while. You make a pacifist pick up a gun and shoot someone, they're going to be upset by that for quite some time. But it also makes it so if the only person who's still up after battle doesn't like doctoring, it's like, get over yourself, go save your friends. Etched stone walls. You can smooth stone walls now as well as floors. This allows you to etch them so that they match the bricks and stuff. That way if you need to like mine out some steel and replace it with a wall, the walls aren't going to be mismatched. Quarry. Good for if you are in a flat area rather than the mountains and you won't have as much stuff to mine. It can be really hard to get resources like steel, silver, gold. And this just lets you make a quarry in the ground to mine it up as well. And you can also obviously get chunks from that. Rim Writer. It just allows people to write scrolls, books, tablets, etc. And then people can read them for fun. Kidnapped colonist camp. Sometimes, as has been seen in certain Let's Plays, death by poopy. Sometimes raiders will pick up fallen pawns and take them off the map, and normally that would just mean they were gone. And with this mod, it makes it so you can find them out in the world where they're being kept and you can rescue them. Gloomy furniture, I love it. Ratkin not included. It just makes some cute rustic furniture options, which will look really great with our hobbits, I think, because the hobbits don't really get a whole lot of furniture. Like the other RimWorld races get their own, or RimWorld, Lord of the Rims races get their own furniture sets. Hobbits don't get as much, but this like quaint little furniture set I think would look so good with them. miscellaneous training. It adds shooting targets and like fighting dummies and stuff to increase your combat skills and joy. Um, research tree. It changes how the research tree page looks. It makes it its own big page with all the different research options from all the mods, and they're sorted and you can search for them. It's very good, but if you have a lot of mods that add a lot of technologies. Invisible conduits, it just, instead of having this horrible mishmash of wires everywhere, it makes them invisible. So you can have all your electronics without having cables running all over the place and just making everything ugly. Impassable chest deep water just makes it so rivers are more formidable and bridges are more useful. Rather than just making it faster to cross a river, it may be necessary to cross in certain places. And lastly, tech advancing. I haven't used this one either. It's new to me, but it makes it so as you progress through the tech tree, your tech level will progress. That way, if you skip over some tech later, you get to space age stuff, you're not still going to struggle to make, like, a TV. Which sounds really nice. So, I look forward to that as well. And that is all of the mods I will be using in my upcoming Let's Play. But not today, because I'm struggling to breathe. So, here's what we have to look forward to. And I will see you all later.